شبیر کا گلا اور بازو بڑی بہن کے پہ کاں برس رہے ہیں تابوت پر حسن کے زینب پکاری بھائی دل ڈوبتا ہے میرا زینب پکاری بھائی دل ڈوبتا ہے میرا اگلو نہ دل کے ٹکڑے صدقے گئی دہن کے پہ کاں برس رہے ہیں تابوت پر حسن کے زینب ہے بال کھولے امت ہے تیر تولے زینب ہے بال کھولے امت ہے تیر تولے پوچھو نہ شام کی جب یہ حال ہے تابوت پر حسن کے بابا کے دل کے ٹکڑے تو نے گنے 72 بابا کے گنے 72 ٹکڑے 1000 ہوں گے قاسم تیرے بدن کے پہ کاں برس رہے ہیں تابوت پر حسن کے امت مٹا رہی ہے آثار پنجتن کے پہ کاں برس رہے ہیں تابوت پر حسن کے صلوات
اللہم صلی علی محمد وآلہ ماشاءاللہ احسنتم احسنتم
محمد وآل محمد صلوات
اللہم صلی علی محمد وآلہ محمد
صلو علی محمد وعلی محمد
اللہم صلی علی محمد وآلہ محمد
مولا علی کی شان میں ایک قصیدہ آپ لوگوں کی پیش خدمت ہے مولا علی کے حروف جو ہیں نام کے اس کے حوالے سے عین سے
عبادت کا سرانجام ہوا عبادت کا سرانجام ہوا لام وہ لام کے جس لام سے اسلام ہوا لام وہ لام اسلام سے اسلام ہوا یہ سے یاور ہوئے مشکل میں ہر ایک بندے کی یہ سے یاور ہوئے مشکل میں ہر ایک بندے کی صدقہ اسلام نام ہوا این سے
درود پڑھیے محمد آل محمد
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
ایک سلام جناب سیدہ کی سکینہ کے حوالے سے آپ لوگ پیش رکھتے ہیں. درود پڑھیے محمد آل محمد
اللهم صل على محمد وآل
آ جاؤ اب آ جاؤ اب آ جاؤ سکینہ آ جاؤ اب آ جاؤ اب آ جاؤ سکینہ بانوں کی صدا تھی نہ تڑپاؤ اب آ جاؤ سکینہ آ جاؤ اب آ جاؤ اب آ جاؤ سکینہ آ جاؤ اب آ جاؤ اب آ جاؤ سکینہ اب مجھ سے جدائی کا علم اٹھ نہ سکے گا یوں روٹ کے مادر سے نہ تم جاؤ سکینہ آ جاؤ اب آ جاؤ اب آ جاؤ سکینہ جس پیار سے ماں کہہ کے پکارو میری دلبر اماں کو نہ اس طرح سے تڑپاؤ سکینہ سکینہ اصغر کی جدائی علی اکبر کی جدائی کافی ہے نہ تم بھی مجھے رلواؤ سکینہ آ جاؤ اب آ جاؤ اب آ جاؤ سکینہ گانوں سے لہو بہتا ہے رخسار ہے نیلے یہ شکل ناپاس کو دکھلاؤ سکینہ آ جاؤ اب آ جاؤ اب آ جاؤ سکینہ اب لپٹا کے کلے جیسے دعائیں میری کہنا ایک ننھی سی تربت جو کہیں پاؤ سکینہ آ جاؤ اب آ جاؤ اب آ جاؤ سکینہ آ جاؤ اب آ جاؤ درود پڑھیے محمد و آل محمد فاتحہ چھوٹ کر جب آیا شام سے کنبہ رسول کا چھوٹ کے جب آیا شام سے کنبہ رسول کا یثرب کے ذرے ذرے نے ایک زخم نو دیا یثرب کے ذرے ذرے نے ایک زخم نو دیا آئے جو ابن جعفر تیار باصفا ایک تیر سا کلیجے میں عابد کے گڑ گیا ایک تیر سا کلیجے میں عابد کے گڑ گیا زینب تو دور ہٹ گئیں منہ کو چھپا لیا ارے عابد نے اپنے پاس چچا کو بٹھا لیا عابد نے اپنے پاس چچا کو بٹھا لیا عابد نے آہ بھر کے سوئے خیمہ کی نظر زینب تڑپ کے جھینپ گئیں کانپے دل جگر جعفر کے شیر نے جو سنی آہ پر اثر ہاتھ اپنے پیار سے رکھا عابد کی پشت فرمایا یوں تڑپ کے نہ آہو فغاں کر، ہر بیٹا جو دکھ اٹھائے ہیں مجھ سے بیاں کرو، بیٹا جو دکھ اٹھائے ہیں مجھ سے بیاں کرو۔ عابد کا دل بھر آیا چچا سے لپٹ، ہر پہنچی جو ٹھیس پشت کے سب زخم پھٹ گئے، بہنے لگا لہو تو جھجک کر سمٹ گئے، ارے گھبرا کے ابن جعفر تیار ہٹ گئے، گھبرا کے ابن جعفر تیار ہٹ گئے، بولے یہ زخم کیسے ہے کیا ماجرا ہوا، ارے عابد خدا کے واسطے بولو یہ کیا ہوا، عابد خدا کے واسطے بولو یہ کیا ہوا، کیا بعد قتل شاہ بھی تم پر ہوئے ستم، ہر محفوظ تو رہے شہ مظلوم کے حرم، یہ تو حمیت اہل ہر عرب میں ہے کم سے کم، بچوں کو عورتوں کو سمجھتے ہیں محترم، ہر کیا لٹ گیا تھا خیمہ بھی آل رسول کا، ارے بے پردہ تو ہوا نہیں کلبہ رسول کا، بے پردہ تو ہوا نہیں کنبہ بطول کا، عابد نے آہ بھر کے کہا کچھ نہ پوچھئے، ہر جو سوچ بھی نہ سکتے تھے ایسے ستم ہوئے، برگشتہ اس قدر تھا زمانہ حسین، ارے اوروں کا ذکر کیا علی اصغر نہ بچ سکے، اوروں کا ذکر کیا علی اصغر نہ بچ سکے، حق وفادہ کیا بچوں نے آپ کے، ہر دادا کا روب باداب تھا تیور تے باپ کے، دادا کا روب داب تھا تیور تے باپ کے، ہر کس شان سے لڑے وہ دلاور نہ پوچھیے، کس طرح وار کرتے تھے جم کر نہ پوچھئے، ارے مرعوب ان سے کتنا تھا لشکر نہ پوچھئے، ارے کیا کہہ رہے تھے قاسم و اکبر نہ پوچھئے، ہر ایک کی زباں پا صدا مرحبا کی تھی، ارے فرصت نہ دیا جل نے یہ مرضی خدا کی تھی، فرصت نہ دیا جل نے یہ مرضی خدا، ان پر ہی کیا اجل تو بڑے گھر کو کھا گئی، ارے قاسم کو کھا گئی علی اکبر کو کھا گئی، عباس جیسے شیر دلاور کو کھا گئی، ارے حد ہو گئی کہ سیبتے को सब कब्र में चले गए सोने के वास्ते, हर मैं ही बचा हूँ कुल्बे के रोने के वास्ते, मैं ही बचा हूँ कुल्बे को रोने के वास्ते, छूट कर जब आया शाम से। मौला कोई गम न दे आप लोगों को सवाए गम हुसैन के सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि मोहम्मद व आले मोहम्मद।
We are honored to have amongst us today Maulana Sayyid Rizwan Rizwi. Maulana hails from a family of scholars. His father Maulana Sayyid Tilmiz Hussain Rizvi and his grandfather Hujjatul Islam Maulana Sayyid Izharul Hassan Hasnain Rizvi migrated from India to Pakistan. In the early 90s, Maulana Sayyid's family migrated to the US. Maulana got his early religious education in Chicago, Illinois, under the guidance of Hujjatul Islam Maulana Amir Mukhtar Faizi at Imam Ali Seminary, where he studied for 1 year. Subsequent to that, Sayyid went to Qom, the Islamic Seminary of Qom in 2000, where he stayed for 6 years. Throughout his 6 years of the studies at the Hawza, Maulana obtained 204 credits and received a bachelor's in theology and philosophy from Jamiatul Mustafa al-Ilmiya. Following his studies in Qom, he felt the need to improve his fluency in Arabic. So to pursue that goal, he traveled to Damascus and enrolled in the advanced Arabic courses at Damascus University, and he spent 2 years there. Maulana came back to the US, and now mashallah he is the resident scholar of the Imam Ali Mosque in New Jersey. We are honored to have him amongst us today. I'd like to request Maulana to come to the mimbar with a salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
رحم الله من قرأ سورة الفاتحة. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي قصرت عن رؤيته أبصار الناظرين وعجزت عن نعته أوهام الواصفين. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين أبي القاسم محمد
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
أما بعد فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى وقوله الحق وهو أصدق القائلين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيتها النفس المطمئنة ارجعي إلى ربك راضية مرضية فادخلي في عبادي وادخلي جنتي صدق الله العلي العظيم.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Indeed, it is an honor and privilege to be here amongst all of you after, I think, a break of maybe 6-7 years. It was the last time I was here, and I do recognize some faces, and I'm sure some of you recognize me as well. And while we are here in these majalis commemorating the demise of the Holy Prophet as well as our second Imam, Imam Hassan and Mujtaba alayhi salatu wassalam. I was informed that inshallah tonight we will be commemorating our second Imam's Shahada, so I will have the Masaib towards the end regarding our second Imam. And the verse that I chose for tonight's discussion is a commonly recited ayah, not something which you haven't heard before. And I'm sure a great deal of scholars, I'm just a student, a great deal of scholars may have shed light on these last 4 ayat of chapter number 89 from the Holy Quran, known as Surah Wal-Fajr, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addresses by saying, Ya ayyatuhan nafsul mutma'innah, O the satisfied and serene soul. You see how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not say, Ya ayyatuhal jismul mutma'innah. He's trying to tell us something. That jism is not something which we are looking for the satisfaction of. It is your soul which requires itminan and satisfaction and serenity. But although we see the opposite of it in the world and amongst ourselves today, that we are busy satisfying the needs of our body and we are oblivious of the needs of our soul. And in this reference, there's a beautiful riwayah from our second Imam, Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba, begins the sentence by surprise. He says, عَجِبْتُ لِمَنْ يَتَفَكَّرُ فِي مَأْكُولِهِ كَيْفَ لَا يَتَفَكَّرُ فِي مَعْقُولِهِ. It sounds better in Arabic than the translation which I'll recite for you, because it rhymes how Imam said it, and also because it's the word of Imam which was uttered in Arabic, and therefore the thing that we will present will only be a translation in our own broken language. Imam says, عَجِبْتُ, I'm surprised, لِمَنْ يَتَفَكَّرُ فِي مَأْكُولِهِ, at those who are so careful what they eat and what they consume as far as their ma'akul, that which is consumed, is concerned. كَيْفَ لَا يَتَفَكَّرُ فِي مَعْقُولِهِ. How is it that same person does not pay heed toward what he puts in his mind? He says, this person is someone who protects his body from that which may have harm, yu'dhihi, but he does not care what he places in his mind, which could definitely, or in his chest, which could be harmful to him. It is an easy discussion for me to just talk about the discussion of eating, especially in the part of the world that we live in, where we're so careful about haram and halal. It's very difficult to discern between, with absolute surety and certainty, that this is halal and this is not halal. There's always going to be a case where we run into a problem where we see that something is questionable. And therefore, al-halalu bayyinun wal-haramu bayyinun. Halal is obvious and haram is obvious. But that which is in between the two, that gray area, is something which is, doubtful. And therefore, the easiest thing that you will ask your, religious authority, what is it that's my duty? They will say it's better to refrain in the areas of doubt. Wherever you doubt, even though doubt does not sustain and you can go ahead and consume it, but it is better to refrain from it. Why even bother at a thing which is doubtful for you? I'll narrate a story especially for the kids. Hopefully they'll enjoy it. Not just the enjoyment aspect of it, but also getting a lesson out of it. But the adults are also welcome to listen to it, and maybe they can get something out of it as well. That there were two brothers, and keep this hadith of Imam Hassan in your mind, that how he's surprised at someone who is so careful what they eat, but they're not so careful what they put in their minds. At the time when you're hungry, as was the case when I landed this afternoon after a 5.5 hour long flight, and I was, started my day from Salatul Fajr, no big deal, everybody does. But because of the lengthy flight, and then when I got here, it's been quite some time till last time that I had eaten anything. So I was really hungry. Brother took me to a restaurant. If you had given me anything at that point, I would have eaten it. That too, something which I really like, and that was biryani. And so when biryani is presented, I can hardly refrain from not looking at it and not eating it. And therefore that was the case. It too was a Sindhi biryani. It was placed right in front of me. And without questioning that whether it's halal or not, keeping in mind that he has brought me to a halal restaurant and brother knows that we have diet regarding halal and haram, I started eating and I finished the entire plate. Imagine if your favorite dish is provided to you at a time when you're really hungry. Like a person like me who's not that careful, that's all right, fine. You're doubtful, I'll go ahead and eat it. But you tell me something else. You said there's a disclaimer. There's a possibility that this food may be poisoned. Now, at haram or halal, I may have a doubt. I'll still go ahead and eat. But the moment you tell me that there's poison in it, now regardless of how hungry I am, even my aql tells me not to eat it because it could take my life. Therefore, we're so careful when it comes to consuming food that we're going to choose, and which is correct. We need to choose. Because luqmatul haram yubinu fi dhurriya. One haram morsel will have impact not just on you, but on your future generations as well. So make sure that you put that which is halal in your mouth, and as well as in your children's mouth. So when Imam said this hadith, now keep that in perspective. There were two brothers. This is the story for the kids. There were two brothers. They were aged 14 and 15. And, or maybe 14 and 16. We can just make it up. And, there was this movie that was playing in the theater. And they said that their friends are all going to see that movie. And they asked their father if they can also go ahead and watch that movie. Father said, no, you can't watch that movie because it's not appropriate for you. He said, but father, it says it's PG-13. And Hassan is 14 and I'm 16. So we can watch it. Father said, yeah, it may be PG-13 according to some standards that are set over here. But according to our Islamic standards, PG-13 may not be, good for you because of the nature of violence that is there, and as well as other, things that may be part of that movie which is not appropriate for your age at all. And forget about your age, even for my age, all grown up, I should not be laying my eyes on things which are like that. The kids, obviously, being kids, 14 and 15-year-old, they were bummed out. Their friends were going to watch that movie and they're not going to be going. And they'll be left behind, and then tomorrow they'll have to make up some excuse to show to their parents, their peers and their friends that, oh, it wasn't a big deal, we ran into some problem or something else came up, just to make up so that they don't look bad in front of their friends. They go to their room, they sit down, and then they smell that their father is baking some brownies for them, which they really liked. The father then after a while brings the brownies to their room, knocks on the door, see the children are still mad at what he had told them, that they can't go watch this movie, and they're still, not feeling well. He said, here, look, I got brownies for you guys. And as soon as he brought, they thought, look, father must have felt bad for what he did. Because, what is a PG-13 movie going to do to us? It's still, father was adamant about it, so he made that decision. I don't know how many of us parents can make such a decision, but nonetheless. And then he presented these brownies to the kids. Look, I refrained you and stopped you from going with your friends, but there was a reason behind it. But in place of that, I'm giving you this brownie that I baked freshly for you. But there's a disclaimer. What's the disclaimer? While preparing the brownies, I placed in them something which I picked up from the backyard. He was like, hold on a second. What did you pick up from the backyard? We have some animals running around in our backyard, right? And there's something that I picked up which is very minute. Maybe even less than 1%. Yeah, but what did you put in there? Of course, I did not put anything harmful which will, take your life. I'm your father. Don't worry about from that aspect. But there was something in the backyard that I picked up and put as part of the ingredient of the food. So what did you place in it? There was some animal waste left behind. I picked it up and I put it into the brownies and I baked it for you. I was like, ew, we're not going to eat this. You expect us to eat this? We're not having this. You can take it back. No matter how much we like these brownies, we're not going to consume one morsel of it. Father said, exactly. The fact that even 1% of something which is questionable, as a waste of an animal placed in these brownies, which you won't even feel the taste of when you eat it, you're not going to eat it because you know and you have the ilm that there's something in it. Similarly, that PG-13 movie, an hour and a half long movie, which you will watch, although there may be 1 or 2 or 3 scenes in it which are questionable, but at the same time you may not feel, but they will have their impact on you. And that's what Imam Hassan is saying over here, that أَجِبْتُ لِمَنْ يَتَفَكَّرُ فِي مَعْقُولِهِ كَيْفَ لَا يَتَفَكَّرُ فِي مَعْقُولِهِ. I'm surprised. Person is so careful what they place in their bellies, but they're not careful at all what they place in their chests and they place in their minds. Salawat Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So going back to the ayat that I recited, it says, oh, the serene soul, return to your Lord. Soul, right? Not the body. In the state that you are satisfied and your Lord is satisfied with you as well. Now imagine all of us are satisfied, inshallah, with the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes, we may question Him here and there. But overall, whatever God has bestowed upon us, we are what? Thankful. And we say, alhamdulillah, whatever God has given to us. He's in fact given us more than what we asked for. So alhamdulillah ala kulli halin. Thank God for everything that He has provided to us. But the question is, you and I are satisfied with Allah. Is Allah satisfied with us as well? That's the most important thing. All of us may be satisfied with Allah. There are a few of us that may not be satisfied with Allah. But majority of us are satisfied with God, what He has given to us. Occasionally we will question His decree, especially when we run into some issues and problems and difficulties in our life. But most of the time we are satisfied. But is He also satisfied with us? Maharat and skill is when Allah is satisfied with us, not when we are satisfied with Him. He said, how do we attain that satisfaction of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? We see that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ayyatuhan nafsul mutma'inna. All of us are looking for that serene and satisfied soul. What is the satisfaction? What is your satisfaction? What is it that you seek your satisfaction in? Now, as a teenager, I may have some other things, but as an adult, grown up, sahib aulad, someone who has children, I may have different aspirations. A grandfather may have different aspirations, right? Different things that satisfy them. A 70-year-old would be satisfied with certain things. A 50-year-old would be satisfied with some things. A 30-year-old would be satisfied with some things. A 15-year-old would be satisfied with certain things. Heck, a 7-year-old would be satisfied with some other things. All of these satisfactions differ from one another. Isn't it the case? For example, as a parent whose children are still young, very young and growing up, my satisfaction is that my children, for example, get good grades. They attain good grades. Someone who's a little bit older than me, whose kids have graduated, for example, their satisfaction is that, their children are settled in their lives, for example. Someone who's a little bit older than them will probably have satisfaction if my children get married at the right place at the right time, and that's where my satisfaction will lie, and so on and so forth. So your satisfactions, things in which you are looking for satisfaction, differs as you progress, as you age. But all of these things may satisfy us today, but we may not be satisfied with them tomorrow. Things may change for us, and that's what the reality of the life is. So what is it that will not change regardless of how old or young you may be? That will always be able to satisfy you. Because whenever we look for satisfaction in the world, which is made of material, which is temporary abode, guess what? The satisfaction of this world will also be materialistic and temporary in nature. That which is temporary in nature will expire, will have an expiry date. The same way that you buy something from the store, it has an expiry date on it. Usually don't use it after it has expired. Same thing with the things in this world, the materialistic things that you and I may be satisfied today with. Guess what? Because it's part of this materialistic world, it may expire soon and it may no longer serve to satisfy us. Therefore, we're looking for something which has a permanent nature of satisfaction. Isn't it the case with all of us that we're looking for satisfies us? That we have no hammogam when we go to bed at night, that there isn't anything troubling us. That's all we're looking for. Is anyone really looking for trouble in their life? Is anyone really looking for, problems in their life? No, all of us are looking for a smooth, nice, without hurdles, without turmoil, a life like that. So, oh Allah, you are telling us, nafs mutma'inna. How do we attain this nafs, this soul which is mutma'in? Quran will speak, because some of the verses of Quran do the tafsir of other ayat of Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say, Ala bidhikrillahi tatma'innul qulub. Indeed, with the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the hearts are at rest. So if you do the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you will find satisfaction. Oh Allah, it's not clear to me. How do I do your dhikr? Because there are many ways of doing the dhikr of Allah. He said, Aqim as-salata li-dhikri. Establish prayer in order to do my dhikr. So here you see how Quran has laid out the foundation for you. Usually we run when we are in some sort of trouble. Even the most, and I should not say most, even those who don't believe in God, at the moment of turmoil and difficulty, when the worst of the situations are above them, they'll utter from their mouth, Ya Allah. They'll say from their mouth, Oh God, help us God. So even the one who doesn't believe in God will be calling upon God. That's something which is done even by an atheist. So how good is it when you and I, who believe in one God, who worship that God, we only turn to Him when we are in need, and we don't turn to Him when we are not in need. How are you going to attain this satisfaction? He said, by establishing this salat. How have we taken this salat? We've taken this salat for granted. Salat, which is considered to be Mi'rajul Mu'min. That when the Holy Prophet, he ascended to the heavens and he visited all of those places, he met and he spoke with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The entire discussion between the Holy Prophet and Allah is marked in a book called Irshad al-Daylami, known as Hadith al-Mi'raj. And then the Hadith, Rasulullah returns, he speaks to his companions. Some believe in him, some don't believe in him. And when he explains what he heard, the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked him, Ya Ahmad, بأي وقت يتقرب العبد من المعبود. What is the time when my abd, when my servant is closest to me? Rasulullah responded by saying, La adri. Allah responded by saying, إذا كان جائعا أو ساجدا. When this servant of mine is empty stomach and he's in the form of sajda. That means when he's praying, he's closest to me. You want taqarrub ilahi, you want to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, perform this salat. Don't take this salat for granted. When people said, Oh Rasulullah, we want to go to Mi'raj as well, Rasulullah said, Allah created that Mi'raj for you right here in this world. You have the opportunity to speak to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala 5 times a day in the form of this salat, because this salat is Mi'raj al-Mu'min. You heard the ayat of Surah Taha before the majlis began. There's a discussion of Hazrat Musa alayhi salatu wasalam in that surah. That Hazrat Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala called upon him. وَمَا تِلْكَ بِيَمِينِكَ يَا Musa. What do you hold in your hand, O Moses? قَالَ هِيَ عَصَايَ أَتَوَكَّأُ عَلَيْهَا وَأَهُشُّ عَلَى غَنَمِي وَلِيَ مَعَارِبُ أُخْرَى. This is my cane. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who's given him this cane. So what are you told when you're visiting someone very, very important? Let's say you're visiting the king of the country, or the president of the country, or head of the state, or for example, marja taqleed, or someone very important. Well, speak small, slowly, and speak as little as possible. Khairul kalam ma qalla wa dal. Speak as little as possible. Don't say too many things. You don't want to take too much time of the king or the president. You have very little time that has been given to you. So, choose your words properly and say what you want to say quickly. You're told like that. You're speaking to the king of all the kings. Oh Moses, what are you holding in your hand? You should just respond right away. Oh Allah, this is my cane that you gave it to me. But Hazrat Musa is prolonging the discussion. Hiya asaya, this is my cane. Atawakkau alayha, I recline on it. Wa ahushu biha ala ghanami. I take my animals, livestock with it, and break leaves for them with it. I use it for shepherding my animals, and so on and so forth. Waliya ma'aribu ukhra. And there are many other things that I do with this cane. Oh Musa, it was a simple question. Requires a simple answer. Why are you giving us such a lengthy answer? He said, well, my mahbub has spoken to me. My Lord has spoken to me. I want this conversation to go as long as possible. I don't want this conversation to end within a sentence or two. Imagine you speak to someone, can you realize the fact that you haven't spoken in a while? Not because you are in bad terms. It's just that you haven't had any contact with that person. And after a while, now you get to speak to that person. Will you just say, hello, how are you? And then you hang up? No, you'll prolong this conversation. Where have you been, brother? What have you been doing? How life been in the past few years that we haven't met with each other, so on and so forth. It's a long, lengthy discussion. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is speaking to you. Allah speaks to Hazrat Musa, He prolongs the discussion. You have the opportunity to stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, speak to Him 5 times a day. Make sure that you utilize that opportunity. Make sure you do not squander that opportunity, because the salah is something which is not only an obligation, but a means to communicate with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And hence you see that the Holy Prophet Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, لو كان على باب دار أحدكم نهر. If there was a lake outside your house, واغتسل فيه في كل يوم 5 مرات, and you were to bathe in that lake 5 times a day. let's replace the lake with your swimming pool that you have outside your house, or that, water body that you have outside your house. And if you were to dive into this lake 5 times a day, or in this swimming pool 5 times a day, ayabqa, will there remain fil jism min ad-darn shay'un? Will there remain any impurity on your body if you were to dive into a body of water 5 times a day? People said no. Rasulullah says salat is the same way. When you pray 5 times a day, this water which removes the physical impurity from your body, this salat will keep the spiritual or immaterial impurity from entering into your heart. This will purify internally the same way water purifies you externally. So therefore, don't underestimate the salat. And hence we find when our second Imam, Imam Hassan al-Mushtaba alayhi salatu wasalam, would stand up for salat, Imam, when he would stand up for this salat, this is how Imam alayhi salatu wasalam would feel, as it is mentioned, that إِنَّ الْحَسَنَ إِذَا كَانَ تَوَضَّعَ إِرْتَعَدَّتْ مَفَاصِلَهُ. That whenever Imam would stand up to perform the salat, when he would do wudu, his body parts would start shaking. وَاسْفَرَّ لَوْنَهُ. His face complexion will change. فَقِيلَ لَهُ فِي ذَلِكَ. He was asked, "Oh Imam, you pray every day. When you're performing wudu, why is it your hands are shaking? Why is it that your heart is shaking? Why is it that the face complexion has changed?" Imam responds by saying, فَقَالَ حَقٌّ عَلَى كُلِّ مَنْ وَقَفَ بَيْنَ يَدَيْ رَبِّ الْعَرْشِ أَنْ يَصْفَرَّ لَوْنَهُ وَتَرْتَعِدَ مَفَاصِلَهُ. It is incumbent for everyone who stands up in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that their face complexion should change, that their body should start shake. Why? Because they're standing in front of the one who's the creator, the one who's Maliki Haqiqi, the one who has created you, the one who's providing for you, the one who's your Rabb. And then Imam gives one after another reason as far as this situation that Imam is in. And therefore he realizes that how when a person stands up in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as opposed to when you and I stand up in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how there's a fine difference between the two. And that's why when our sixth Imam, Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam, when he was on his deathbed and he was breathing last few of his breaths, Imam alayhi salatu wasalam, he gathered his family. And when he gathered his family, when they were all close to him, Imam alayhi salatu wasalam gave this wasiyah. You'd imagine Imam Masoom, that too our sixth Imam, would give some extensive nasiha and advice. But one of the things that Imam said towards the end, which stands out to the extent that his family members told others about it who weren't present. Imam said, "La yanalu shafa'atana man istakhaffa bis-salat." That our intercession will not reach that person who takes the salat lightly. Who takes the salat lightly. Imam did not say the one who doesn't pray, because there's an ayat in Quran for that. Surah Muddassir, what does it say? يَتَسَاءَلُونَ عَنِ الْمُجْرِمِينَ مَا سَلَكَكُمْ فِي سَقَرٍ قَالُوا لَمْ نَكُ مِنَ الْمُصَلِّينَ. That the criminals will be questioned on the day of judgment. What brought you to Saqar, which is another name for Jahannam? And the first response will be, لَمْ نَكُ مِنَ الْمُصَلِّينَ. We did not used to pray. So when salat becomes the reason for entering the Jahannam, Imam is not going to say that our shafaat will not reach that person who doesn't pray. He said, no, our shafaat will not reach that person who takes salat lightly. What does it mean to take salat lightly? It means that when you have no genuine excuse, you still delay the salat. You'd prefer something else, prioritize something else over the salat. Sunday, 1 o'clock, Sunday is in this part of the world and in this country, especially in this season, is known for football Sunday. And many of us are very fond to this game and we watch it. And the starting time is at 1 o'clock. Guess what? Namaz time is also at 1 o'clock. Yes, but the lower time is so long. It runs from 1 o'clock till 6 o'clock. So I can pray any time in between. The game will be over within a couple of hours. This is where you're prioritizing what is more important to you. Yes, if you're traveling, if there's other genuine excuse, you're at work and you're unable to get off from work to go ahead and pray, that's another excuse. But when you are at home and you have all the time in the world, yet you're still not prioritizing this salat, you know what will happen? First thing which will be questioned on the day of أَوَّلُ مَا يُحَاسِبُ بِهِ الْعَبْدُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. The first thing that you will be questioned on the day of judgment will be regarding salat. إِن قُبِلَتْ قُبِلَ مَا سِوَاهُ وَإِن رُدَّتْ رُدَّ مَا سِوَاهُ. If the salat is accepted, everything else is accepted. If the salat is rejected, everything else is rejected. Question: how is it that all of my good deeds, which is a lot, I've done a lot of community work, I've delivered a lot of speeches, I've written a few books, I've written many articles, I've traveled all over the world, I've trained so many people, I've guided so many youth, I've given lectures on so many occasions, maybe 1,000 lectures, I've donated to different centers, I've donated to my own center, I've done all of this good work. You mean to tell me that if I don't pray, all this good work is what? Rejected? How is that possible? All of my good work, yes, I may be very slow when it comes to salat. I'll pray occasionally. I'll pray religiously during the month of Ramadan. But outside of Ramadan, it's very difficult for me to get up in the morning. By the way, if you have difficult time waking up in the morning, there's a nuskha for you. Last ayat of Surah Kahf. Ayat number 110. Surah Kahf is chapter 18, right? Last ayah. Read that ayah before going to bed and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with the tawassul of that ayah that I want to get up at 6 in the morning. You'll be up at 6 in the morning. It's in the riwayah that the Prophet says that this ayat, if nothing else was revealed in Quran except this ayah, it would have been sufficient. Because this ayah talks about, Tawheed, this ayah talks about Nubuwwat, this ayah talks about connection between Allah and the servant, and many other things. So the last ayah, 110th ayah of Surah Kahf, recite that, make this niyat, oh Allah, wake me up, or with this tawassul of this ayah, I want to wake up at 5 in the morning, and go ahead and do tajrubah tonight, inshallah, and see how successful you would be. With that said, how is it possible that all of my other good deeds are all depending on this one action? Does that make sense? Is it even possible for that one action to be so important that all the other actions are depending if this action is performed? I can give you riwayat after riwayat. For example, as-salatu amududdin. The salat is the pillar of the religion. What does the pillar do? Well, in the tents, usually the pillar is all the way in the middle to keep the tent erected. If you remove the pillar, what will happen? It'll collapse. Similarly, in this building, you have pillars, which are obviously hidden beautifully between the walls. So you don't see it in the middle. But if those pillars weren't there, this building will not sustain and it will also collapse. And therefore, pillar is very important. Salat serves as a pillar. You say, well, yeah, I get that. Still. But for the children, for them to understand, because I'm speaking for them more than I'm speaking for you. Imagine you're driving. And, this age when we get our license and, we anticipate driving, all that comes, everybody goes through that. Let's say you're driving, last thing you want is getting pulled over. But one thing led to another, and you ran a signal or something, or you were speeding, cop pulls you over. When he pulls you over, or if you haven't been pulled over when you were driving, but I'm sure you have been pulled over when you were sitting in a car with someone else driving, I'm sure all of us have had that situation to us. What is the first thing that cop comes and knocks on the window? he asks for your license and registration. He said, can I see your license? At this point, you dig down deep in your pocket and you pull out your passport. And say, here's my passport. All 52 pages of it. He said, no, I need your license. You go down in your pocket again and you give him what? Your social security card. Here's my SS card. He said, no, the license. You go down and you give him what? Your global entry card. He said, no, the license. You go down and you give him your insurance card. You're not getting it. The license. You go down and you give him your credit card. By the way, don't give him that. He said, no, the license. The passport is very important. You can't cross the border if you don't have your passport. So it's very important if you're traveling abroad. Your global entry card is important. Your social security card is very important. In fact, to the extent you shouldn't be carrying it with you wherever you go. Keep it in a safe place. Your health insurance card is very important. Hopefully you don't never have to use it. Your credit card is very important. But all of them are important in their own places. One is important at the airport. One is important at the hospital. One is important when you're shopping. But at the moment, what will get you through is your license. If you don't have your license, none of these cards will be accepted, although they're very important. But if your license, you have your license with you, then every other card that you are carrying with you will be accepted. This is how salat is, brothers and sisters. That when you are entering in the bargah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the question is asked of the salat, if you present the card of salat, everything else will come along with it. But if the card of salat is not with you, that driver's license is not with you, then everything else will be rejected as part of this hadith as mentioning. Salawat bi Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
So the second part of the ayat was that Ya ayyatuhan nafsul mutmainna irji'i ila rabbiki radiyatan. Return to your Lord. You and I are busy satisfying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hopefully we are satisfying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yeah, when we're young, we're probably satisfying our parents. And I'm praying for the sake of my parents, so that my parents see that I'm praying. But as you get older, this feeling goes away, and you realize that you're actually praying for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who's not in need of your salat as much as you are in need of this salat for your own well-being. So, you and I spend all our life pleasing and gaining the satisfaction of Allah. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is trying to gain satisfaction of certain individuals. He says in Quran, وَلَسَوْفَ يُعْتِيكَ رَبُّكَ فَتَرْضَى. Oh my Habib, oh my beloved, I will give you something soon which will satisfy you. Oh Allah, you are in need of satisfaction. Let me rephrase. Oh Allah, you want to satisfy someone as well? That to your Prophet? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, yes. Inna a'tainaka al-kawthar. When Kawthar was given to the Holy Prophet, that was what was meant in that promise when Allah said, we will give you something which will satisfy you. So here, you and I are trying to satisfy Allah, but Allah is trying to gain the satisfaction of some of His servants as well. The third part of the ayah says, فَادْخُلِي فِي عِبَادِي. Become amongst those servants who are ibadat guzar. Those who have the label of abd of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A lot of time we underestimate the power of abd. This ubudiyat is superior to even risalat. And I'll prove it to you. That when Hazrat Isa ﷺ was born, the first thing when his mother was informed that she will have a baby, she was shy and she said, kuntu nasiyan mansiya. I wish I was gone before this happened to me. But when she brought this baby, she was worried how people will be questioning her chastity. So right away Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told her that when someone questions, point towards the baby and don't speak to anyone. And as soon as she brought the baby, right away the people said, first thing that they said to her, Ma kana abuki imra'a sawin wa ma kana ummuki baghiya. Your father was not a bad man. Your mother was not a rebellious woman. What is it that you have done here? فَأَشَارَتْ إِلَيْهِ. So she pointed toward the baby. And then they right away smiled. كَيْفَ نُكَلِّمُهُ. How do we speak to someone who's just a child in the arms of the baby, in the arms of the mother? And then here Hazrat Isa spoke. Inni Abdullah. He did not say, I am the Nabi of Allah. I have been given the Shariat. I have been given the book. He said, no, Inni Abdullah. Atani al-kitab wa ja'alani nabiyya. You see how he spoke? He said, I am servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is ubudiyat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't consider me to be Ibnullah. I am Abdullah. Wa atani al-kitab. He's given me a book. Wa ja'alani nabiyya. And he's made me Nabi. So nubuwwat came later. First he declared himself to be Abd of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When it comes to our own holy prophet, when you recite the tashahhud, what do you say? Ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu. That our prophet Muhammad is Abd of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first. And then he's the Rasul of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this nubuwwat and this risalat with all its height and everything, it still is next to abudiyat. And that's why the famous words from the tongue of Amir al-Mu'mineen, Imam al-Muttaqeen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wasalam, Ilahi kafa bi izzan an takuna li rabban wa kafa bi fakhran an akuna laka abdan anta kama uhib faj'alni kama tuhib. Ilahi, it is enough for my integrity and it is enough for my honor that you are my Lord. And it is enough for my pride, fakhr and iftikhar, that an akuna laka abdan, that I am a servant to you. Amir al-Mu'mineen is taking pride in what? Being the servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Anta kama uhib, you are how I want you to be. Faj'alni kama tuhib, made me how you want me to be. This is where Ali, who is someone, when he was so successful in throughout his life, there's only one occasion Ali ibn Abi Talib utters these words. Fusto wa rabbil Kaaba. When did he utter these words? At the time when he was struck by the sword of Ibn Muljim la'anatullah alayhi. At the time when he was in the mihrab of ibadat. At the time when he attained the shahadat while doing sajda to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He did not say Fustu wa Rabbil Kaaba after having won battle of Badr, after having won battle of Khandaq, after having won battle of Hunayn, battle of Khaybar and all the other battles. Only when he was struck in the time when he was doing the sajda to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he takes pride in it, saying, Fustu Rabbil Kaaba, that by the Lord of this Kaaba, Ali is indeed successful. Salawat Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
So you can't underestimate the power of this ibadat. Yes, there were individuals who would cut down, who would pray so much that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would have to reveal the ayat. Ya ayyuhal muzammil, qumil layla illa qalila. Oh, the one who's wrapped around the cloak, qumil layla illa qalila. Stand up at night, but not too much. We don't want you to stand up so much. We don't want you to pray so much. We don't want you to be doing so much ibadah that, there's wounds on your body and it may be harmful towards your leg because you're standing up for so many hours. People will say to the Holy Prophet, Oh Rasulullah, you choose who goes in paradise and who enters the hell. Then why is it that you are praying so much? Rasulullah would respond by saying, Alam akun abdan shakura. Do you not want me to be a thankful and grateful servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? You not want me to be a thankful servant to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? I'm praying so that I could be thankful to the bounty that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to me. And this is where you see the difference lies in the way we perceive this ibadat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and how Masumeen perceive the ibadat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is where we see that one of the last wasaya of Imam Hussein when he was leaving for the martyrdom in the battlefield in Maqtal, he said to his sister, Janab Zainab, that, oh my sister, do not forget me in your Salatul Layl. Then whatever you do not forget me to remember me when you stand up for Salatul Layl. Imam knows that even in these difficult and dire situations, Sayyida Zainab will not forget about Salatul Layl. People like you and I, in little bit of difficulty, we forget our wajib prayers. You know, if we are taking a flight to somewhere, we'll say, well, we'll pray when we get to our destination. Whether or not the salat will become qaza or not, we are heedless about it. But Imam knows that although all of the family members have been killed, it was the worst day in the life of Zainab. She saw the killing of everyone that she loved. She gave the sacrifice of her 2 children as well. She gave the sacrifice of her nephews as well. And she gave the sacrifice of her brothers as well. Yet, Zainab is still not going to forget performing Salatul Layl. How many times you and I get the opportunity to stand up for Salatul Layl? Ramadan maybe. But Imam Hussain knows that Sister Zainab will remain cognizant in reference to Salatul Layl. And so he's making this wasiyah. Don't forget me in your Salatul Layl. And that's how we see that Imam ﷺ was so sure that in the zindan, in the prison of Sham, when Janab Zainab was sitting down and she was performing the salat, our 4th Imam comes and he says, "Oh my aunt, why is it that you're sitting down and you're praying? I've never seen you in my life sit down and pray. You've always performed salat standing up. Why is it that you're sitting down?" Janab Zainab responded to Imam Zainul Abidin, "Oh my son Sajjad, they give us so little food, that food is so scarce, that when children are hungry, I keep my share for them. I haven't eaten in many days. I keep the share so that when children come back running again, asking for a second time for food, at least I have something to give them. Many days have passed and Zainab has not eaten properly, and therefore my body is frail and my body is weak. And that is the reason I'm performing this salat sitting down." Imam Zainul Abidin sees the situation. He probably remembers this, that he is considered to be Sayyidul Sajideen. He's considered to be Zainul Abidin. He's the zinat and the embellishment of those who stand up for salat. He is someone who's considered to be the master of those who prostrate in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But there was another individual who was known for his ibadat as well, and that was Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba. That whenever he would stand up for salat, irta'addat mafasilahu wasfarra lawnahu, that his body parts would shake, that his face complexion will change. But you see that how difficult it must have been for Imam when it was the time that Imam ﷺ, towards the end of his life, he had made that sulh, he had made that pact, so that there would be peace. People thought that this pact would not be any good. Imam knew that this pact had to be done. If he does not, because he wanted to stand up against Muawiyah, but he knew that his own people will not stand beside him. There were many within the army of Imam who had turned against Imam, and that was the reason. And how much difficult would it be that when your own wife is the reason for your demise? Muawiyah bought Ju'da, who was the daughter of Ash'as, that if you go ahead and poison your husband Hassan, we will give you reward for that. The first reward will be 100,000 dirham and dinar. The second reward, I will marry you to my son Yazid. Yes, you have a bright future with Yazid. Jorda heard that. She took that poison which was prepared in Rome, especially to kill someone right away. Imam had been attacked many times, but this was the last of the blows. was that Ju'da gave this poison to Imam Hassan. Imam Hassan ate it, and when he consumed it, he realized that there was something wrong with him, and he could feel that his body weakening, and he realized, and he said to his wife Ju'da, that, oh Ju'da, what you have done to me, you will never be accomplishing what you have been promised. You will not get what you asked for. And that was the thing, that when Imam was killed, Imam was martyred, Muawiyah sent a letter to Ju'da saying, we will give you the money that we have promised you, but I will never marry my son to you, because the one who would not be loyal to the son and the grandson of the Holy Prophet, how could that person be loyal to a son of Muawiyah? We see that Imam, when he was breathing his last breath, whenever he would cough blood into his coughing. Blood would come out. So some pieces of his body would come out with the blood as well. This is how strong this poison was. And when he coughed once, he saw the blood and the pieces come out onto this plate. Imam Hussein was there. Imam Hassan said to his brother, "Oh, Hussein, remove this. I don't want my sister Zainab seeing me in this condition." I say, "Oh Mawla, you're so worried that Zainab will see a few drops of blood when you cough, but come Karbala, that she will see the severed head of her brother Hussein as well. Atrukum Allah, may Allah give you no grief except the grief and the sorrow of Ahlul Bayt." And then Imam Hassan Mushtaba, when he was killed and when his martyrdom took place, Imam Hussein was there. He would perform all the last rituals. He was so Muslim. He was so Muslim that when his janazah was prepared, according to his wasiyah, he wanted to be buried next to his grandfather Rasulullah. His janazah was raised. It was being taken towards the body, towards the grave of Rasulullah. There came the enemy and they fired arrows to the body and to the janazah of Imam Hassan. Arrows pierced into the janazah. Imam Hussein had to retrieve where he was going. He had to clean the coffin because the arrows had pierced into the body of Hassan and Mushtaba. There was fresh blood that was coming out of it. Imam Hassan left this world in this agony that he wanted to be buried next to his grandfather, but he was not allowed to. Instead, he was buried in Baqi. I said, "Oh my Mawla, at least your brother was there to go ahead and bury you nicely and peacefully. There was no one stopping him from burying you in Jannatul Baqi. But come Karbala, Are Zainul Abidin, the young son of Hussein is there. Hussein has been killed. His body has been trampled. His head has been severed. The body lays in the plains of Karbala. But Zainul Abidin cannot perform the janazah." ألا لعنة الله القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. Oh Allah, please accept our ibadah tonight. Oh Allah, we've committed a lot of sins. Please forgive our sins. Oh Allah, deal with us on the day of judgment with your mercy and not your justice. Allah, hasten the reappearance of our weighted Imam and make us amongst the helpers and soldiers of Imam. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. Martyrdom Hussein.
Ya Hussein, 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 Ya Hussein.
बेगुनाह मारा गया सिफ्ते रसूले दूसरा हसन सबसे कबार. बेगुनाह मारा गया सिफ्ते रसूले दूसरा हसन सबसे कबार. बेगुनाह मारा गया सिफ्ते रसूले दूसरा हसन सबसे कबार. گناہ مارا گیا سبت رسول دوسرا و حسن صحبہ بے گناہ مارا گیا سبت رسول دوسرا و حسن صحبہ بے گناہ مارا گیا سبت رسول دوسرا و حسن سبز کبا بے گناہ مارا گیا سبت رسول دوسرا و حسن سبز کبا گھر سے ایک بار جنازہ جو نکل جاتا ہے وہ کب پھر آتا ہے کب وہ پھر آتا ہے یہ وہ تابوت ہے جو لوٹ کے پھر گھر آیا وہ حسن سبز کبا بے گناہ مارا گیا سبت رسول دوسرا و حسن کبا بے گناہ مارا گیا سبت رسول دوسرا و حسن سبز کبا خون اگلتے ہوئے بھائی کو بہن نے دیکھا اور تڑپ کر یہ کہا اور تڑپ کر یہ کہا تیری غربت پہ بھائی تیری زینب و فدا و حسن سبز سب مل کے بے گناہ مارا گیا سبت رسول دوسرا حسن سبز کبا بے گناہ مارا گیا سبت رسول دوسرا و حسن ماں کے دکھ سے ابھی آزاد کہاں تھی زینب ہو گیا کیا یہ غضب ہو گیا کیا یہ غضب باپ زندہ نہ رہا بھائی سوئے برد گیا وہ حسن سبز کبا بے گناہ مارا گیا سبت رسول دوسرا و حسن سبز کبا آواز دیجیے پلیز مارا گیا سبت رسول دوسرا و حسن سبز کبا بے گناہ مارا گیا سبت رسول دوسرا و حسن سبز کبا شاہ نے اس وقت جو غازی کو نہ روکا ہوتا حشر ہو جاتا بپا حشر ہو جاتا بپا پھر آتے نہ جنازے پہ تمہارے مولا و حسن سبز کبا بے گناہ مارا گیا سبت رسول دوسرا و حسن سبز کبا بے گناہ مارا گیا رسول دوسرا و حسن سبز کبا زہر سے ٹکڑے جگر ہوں سے کفن لال ہوا و حسن سبز کبا بے گناہ مارا گیا سبت رسول دوسرا و حسن سبز کبا بے گناہ مارا گیا سبت رسول دوسرا و حسن سبز کبا بے گناہ مارا گیا سبت رسول دوسرا و حسن سبز کبا بے گناہ مارا گیا سبت رسول دوسرا و حسن سبز کبا مارا گیا سبت رسول دوسرا و حسن سبز یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین
بیٹی علی کی تربت زہرا پہ آئی ہے بیٹی علی کی تربت زہرا پہ آئی ہے کرتا لہو بھرا ہوا بھائی کلائی ہے کرتا لہو بھرا ہوا بھائی کلائی ہے کہتی ہے اے حسین کی اماں اٹھو کہتی ہے اے حسین کی اماں اٹھو زینب سے کربلا کا ذرا ماجرا سنو، زینب سے کربلا کا ذرا ماجرا سنو۔ اماں ہمارے رنج مصائب ہیں دردناک، اماں ہمارے قلب و جگر ہو چکے ہیں خاک، اماں ہمارے نانا کی امت کی دوا، اماں ہمارے خون کو سمجھے ہیں سب روا، کہتی ہے اے حسین کی اماں اٹھو، کہتی ہے اے حسین کی اماں اٹھو، زینب سے کربلا کا ذرا ماجرا سنو، اماں ترس کے رہ گئے پانی کو ہم تمام، اماں دیا نہ ہم کو کسی نے دیے گا، اماں ہمارے مرد تیب ہو گئے، اماں نہا کے خون میں بچہ مر گئے، کہتی ہے اے حسین کی اماں اٹھو اٹھو، کہتی ہے اے حسین کی اماں اٹھو اٹھو، زینب سے کربلا کا ذرا ماجرا سنو، زینب سے کربلا کا ذرا ماجرا سنو، اماں پڑے ہیں نہر پہ عباس روٹ کر، اماں سکینہ سوتی ہیں زندہ میں بہتر، اماں کہاں سے اکبر مرو کو لاؤں میں، اماں کہاں سے اصغر ناداں کو پاؤں میں، کہتی ہے اے حسین کی اماں اٹھو اٹھو، کہتی ہے اے حسین کی اماں اٹھو اٹھو، زینب سے کربلا کا ذرا ماجرا سنو، اماں حسین کرب بلا ہی میں رہ گئے، اماں حسین کرب بلا ہی میں رہ گئے، اماں حسین سارے مصائب کو سہ گئے، اماں حسین مر گئے بے یار و بے وطن، اماں حسین کو نہ میسر ہوا کفن، کہتی ہے اے حسین کی اماں اٹھو اٹھو، کہتی ہے اے حسین کی اماں اٹھو اٹھو، زینب سے کربلا کا ذرا ماجرا سنو، اماں ہماری چادریں بھی چھن گئی تمام، اماں ہماری چادریں بھی چھن گئی تمام، اماں ہمارے حال پہ ہنستے تھے اہل شام، اماں وہ شام غربت شبیر آہا، اماں وہ رات کالی وہ سنسان خط تھا، کہتی ہے اے حسین کی اماں اٹھو، کہتی ہے اے حسین کی اماں اٹھو اٹھو، زینب سے کربلا کا ذرا ماجرا سنو، زینب سے کربلا کا ذرا ماجرا سنو، یا حسین
زندہ میں سکینہ کو یاد آیا وہ سینہ، زندہ میں سکینہ کو یاد آیا وہ سینہ، زندہ میں سکینہ کو یاد آیا وہ سینہ، زندہ میں سکینہ کو ماتم سب نے کرنا ہے، زندہ میں سکینہ کو یاد آیا وہ سینہ، ماشاءاللہ مومنین، زندہ میں سکینہ کو یاد آیا وہ سینہ، زندہ میں سکینہ کو یاد آیا وہ سینہ، جس سینے پہ سوتی تھی ہائے ہائے، جس سینے پہ سوتی تھی معصوم سکینہ، زندہ میں سکینہ دونوں ہاتھ سے یاد آیا وہ سینہ دو ہاتھ سے بات زندہ میں سکینہ کو یاد آیا وہ سینہ زندہ میں سکینہ کو یاد آیا وہ سینہ جس سینے پہ سوتی تھی ہائے ہائے جس سینے پہ سوتی تھی معصوم سکینہ زندہ میں سکینہ کو یاد آیا وہ سینہ زندہ میں سکینہ کو یاد آیا وہ سینہ ہے موت کی خاموشی تاریکی یہ زندہ میں کیا ظلم کیا لوگوں معصوم اسی مہمانے کوئی اور تو معصومہ ہے کوئی اور تو معصومہ یوں قید ہوئی نا زندہ میں سکینہ کو یاد آیا وہ سینہ زندہ میں سکینہ کو یاد آیا وہ سینہ جس سینے پہ سوتی تھی ہائے ہائے جس سینے پہ سوتی تھی معصوم سکینہ زندہ میں سکینہ کو یاد آیا وہ سینہ زندہ میں سکینہ کو یاد آیا وہ سینہ زندہ میں سکینہ مل کے ساتھ آیا وہ سینہ ہر وقت چمکتا تھا ہر پل میں مدینے میں تعویذ کی مانند تھا شبیر کے سینے میں گم ہو گیا وہ کیسے ہائے ہائے گم ہو گیا وہ کیسے زندہ میں نگینہ زندہ میں سکینہ کو یاد آیا وہ سینہ زندہ میں سکینہ کو یاد آیا وہ سینہ رخسار میں نانا کو محشر میں دکھاؤں گی روداد میں زندہ کی رو رو کے سناؤں گی پابندی ہے رونے پہ ہائے ہائے پابندی ہے رونے پہ کہتا ہے کمینہ زندہ میں سکینہ کو یاد آیا وہ سینہ زندہ میں سکینہ کو یاد آیا وہ سینہ ہائے موت بھی حیران تھی معصومہ کی میت پہ افسوس رہی کرتی احمد کی رعیت پہ تھا موت کے چہرے پہ ہائے ہائے تھا موت کے چہرے پہ گہرا تھا پسینہ زندہ میں سکینہ کو یاد آیا وہ سینہ زندہ میں سکینہ کو آخری میں ہے وہ سینہ جر سرس ذرا ظالم بابا کو نہ روؤں گی میں گود میں مادر کی آرام سے سوؤں گی بے رحم لعینوں نے ہائے ہائے بے رحم لعینوں نے فریاد سنی نا زندہ میں سکینہ کو یاد آیا وہ سینہ زندہ میں سکینہ کو یاد آیا وہ سینہ سجاد جو زندہ سے ہو قید ختم تیری کیا کہنا یہ صغرا سے تم کو ہے قسم میری میں دفن ہوں زندہ میں ہائے ہائے میں دفن ہوں زندہ میں آباد مدینہ زندہ میں سکینہ کو یاد آیا سینہ زندہ میں سکینہ سکینہ کو یاد آیا وہ سینہ الوداع 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 اے حسین سب نے مل کے الوداع 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 سب مل کے حسین الوداع 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 اے حسین الوداع ماشاءاللہ سب ساتھ دیں جواب دیں الوداع اے حسین الوداع صدائیں فغاں اور یہ مجلسیں یہ صدائیں فغاں ماتم و نوح اور غم کی یہ زینتیں ماتم و نوح اور غم کی سب مل کے ساتھ ہیں چاہتا ہے یہ دل یوں ہی قائم رہے 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 آہ پڑتا ہے دل کس طرح یہ کہے الوداع 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 اے حسین الوداع 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 اے حسین میرے مہمان ہے آخری یہ سلام میرے مہمان ہے آخری یہ سلام تجھ پہ قربان ہے آخری یہ سلام تجھ پہ قربان ہے آخری یہ سلام شاہ ذیشان ہے آخری یہ سلام شاہ ذیشان ہے آخری یہ سلام شاہ ذیشان ہے آخری یہ سلام دل ہے ویران ہے آخری یہ سلام الوداع 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 اے حسین الوداع 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 اے حسین بخش دے ہو گئی ہو جو کوئی خطا بخش دے ہو گئی ہو خدمت حق خدمت نہ ہم سے ادا ہو سکا حق خدمت نہ ہم سے ادا ہو سکا غم یہی ہے نہ جی بھر کے ماتم کیا غم یہی ہے نہ جی بھر کے ماتم کیا غم یہی ہے نہ جی بھر کے ماتم کیا تیری خاطر نہ کیوں اپنا سر دے دیا الوداع 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 اے حسین الوداع 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 اے حسین الوداع اے حسین حسین الوداع الوداع اے حسین سب مل کے ساتھ حسین الوداع الوداع اے حسین حسین الوداع الوداع اے حسین حسین الوداع الوداع اے شاہ مشرقین الوداع الوداع اے شاہ مشرقین الوداع بنت احمد کے اے نور عین 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 الوداع ہے مجاہد کے لب پہ یہ بین الوداع 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 اے حسین 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 الوداع अलविदा ए हुसैन, अलविदा 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 ए हुसैन, अलविदा 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 ए हुसैन, अलविदा 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 ए हुसैन।
صل على زيارة رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله، وأنه سيد الأولين والآخرين، وأنه سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين. اللهم صل عليه وعلى أهل بيته الأئمة الطيبين. السلام عليك يا رسول الله، السلام عليك يا خليل الله، السلام عليك يا نبي الله، السلام عليك يا صفي الله، السلام عليك يا رحمة الله، السلام عليك يا خيرة الله، السلام عليك يا حبيب الله، السلام عليك يا نجيب الله، السلام عليك يا خاتم النبيين، السلام عليك يا سيد المرسلين، السلام عليك يا قائما بالقسط، السلام عليك يا فاتح الخير، السلام عليك يا معدن الوحي والتنزيل، السلام عليك يا مبلغا عن الله، السلام عليك أيها السراج المنير، السلام عليك يا مبشر، السلام عليك يا نذير، السلام عليك يا منذر، السلام عليك يا نور الله الذي يستضاء به، السلام عليك وعلى أهل بيتك الطيبين الطاهرين الهادين المهديين، السلام عليك وعلى جدك عبد المطلب وعلى أبيك عبد الله، السلام على أمك آمنة بنت وهب، السلام على عمك حمزة سيد الشهداء، السلام على عمك العباس بن عبد المطلب، السلام على عمك وكفيلك أبي طالب، السلام على ابن عمك جعفر الطيار في جنان الخلد، السلام عليك يا محمد، السلام عليك يا أحمد، السلام عليك يا حجة الله على الأولين والآخرين والسابق إلى طاعة رب العالمين. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطاهرين.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.